Why the sudden interest in communication? Why am I talking so much about proper communication skills that can attract healthy relationships to you? Communication is a topic that I find a lot of people, including myself, get very excited about. And we get excited about it because it is a topic that we're familiar with, and it's easy for us to define what communication means. I mean, it's very easy. You ask somebody what the definition of communication is, they can easily tell you it is the exchange of information. If you ask them the different types of communication, they'll tell you there's verbal and non-verbal, and they can reel off very easily examples of verbal and non-verbal communication skills or types. I'm really wanting to magnify details of communication that we tend to overlook. And we overlook it because we're so familiar with it. Funny enough, when you're kind of very used to a thing, we don't appreciate it as much as we should. I want to really shed some light on the details of communication skills and put very practical steps to it. What does that look like implementing it in your personal life? Just being able to run through the definition and the details of it with a fine-toothed comb and magnify the parts of it that we think we have down pat, but we don't necessarily. And how can you sense whether you have good communication skills or not? Just look around you. The people in your life. Do you have quality relationships? Are these the kinds of relationships that you know you can always go to have the kinds of conversations that leave you feeling better and becoming better? Check your overall mental state. Are you generally at peace when you consider the people around you and their contribution to your life? Do they contribute to your peace of mind, or do they cause a lot of disruption? Those are signs of whether or not you are communicating well. And it's not to say that in practicing communication skills you can control how people respond to you, but you can influence how they respond to you. The chances of you having better relationships will be much greater. Definitely check your surroundings, check your inner circle, check how people respond to you. Communication is not just you exchanging information with someone else or with a group of people. It is also you exchanging information within yourself. Now that involves your spirit, your soul, your body. How do you manage the flow of information, the exchange of information between these three or among these three things? Right? And it's not just communicating with self, is not just saying kind, positive words to yourself, although that does have its place. What are the kinds of books that you are reading? What are the kinds of shows that you are watching? Because you are taking in, receiving information, which is a vital part of communication. And the information that you are choosing to receive does affect you internally, and in turn it affects the people around you, because whatever's happening in here is going to come right out in your attitude and your behavior. Anyway, I digress. But the fact of the matter is, communication is a very powerful tool. It is one of the most powerful tools that we have in our toolkit or in our toolbox that we tend to misuse because we're overly familiar with it and we don't magnify the details of it and intentionally practice it and make it habits in our everyday lives so that we can have better relationships that ultimately improve our quality of life. One of the other reasons why I'm so passionate about communication and learning good communication skills for the sake of our relationships is because I've experienced developing real quality relationships over the years. That's really given me such peace of mind. You know, the kinds of conversations that I have, those kinds of mentally stimulating conversations that leave me being a better person. It inspires me. Those conversations inspire me to become a better person. And I realize that not a lot of people have that, you know? Yeah, I'm so familiar, I'm so used to that kind of way of doing friendship that it just doesn't occur to me sometimes that a lot of people younger than myself or even older than myself don't have that every day. It's something that they really desire, that they really want, so that they can gossip less, so that they can feel more fulfilled after having a positive conversation with a friend, so that they can feel more at peace to know that, you know, they have some trustworthy people in their corner. They want that. And that's something I have. And that is something that I've learned to attain by practicing good communication skills. So, for example, having hard conversations, being able to take constructive criticism as well as give it in love, how to exercise empathy, letting that influence the way how I communicate with someone, let that influence the way how I entertain a tough conversation, right? Because if I'm leading with empathy, I'm leading with love, I'm leading with care. And a solid relationship will be able to manage the weight, the pressure of a difficult conversation and come out even stronger. I've been on the receiving end of poor communication. I have been ghosted, and I've also been the perpetrator, if you will, where I have ghosted, and I've also seen how it affects me, and I've seen how it affects people. I'm also very much inspired by my dad, who is a marriage and family therapist. The topic of communication comes up often. I remember when I was writing my book and sharing with him the topics, the different chapters that I had, he was like, you have to mention verbal and nonverbal. And he also encouraged me to put active listening in that book, because he's seen for himself where not actively listening to someone hurts a relationship, and ultimately, if not handled, leads to the dissolution of that relationship. So personal life experiences, lessons that I learned from people around me, like my dad, who's a therapist, and of course research that I've done for myself, contribute to the information that I have, the skills that I've learned, the skills that I am so happy and willing to coach on. Let's improve those relationships. Let us make it the norm to have quality conversations that feed us, that nourish our souls, that leave us inspired to be creative. Let's make that an everyday thing. It's possible by way of proper communication skills. Love you guys.